In the modern landscape of 2026, we are taught that popularity is the same as value. We are told that a man with 1,000 digital connections is more successful than a man who stands alone. But there is a ancient hidden truth that the elite in London and the boardrooms of New York know. Your circle determines your ceiling. A man with no friends is often not a man who is lonely, but a man who has decided that his peace is too expensive to be bought by low-vibrational company. He has realized that it is better to eat alone than to sit at a table full of people who are poisoning his vision. The architecture of a great life requires you to look at your friendships through a cold, clinical lens. There are two types of people in this world: those who act as anchors and those who act as sails. A bad friend is like a leak in a ship. At first, it is small. You don't notice it. You think their negativity is just a bad mood. You think their lack of ambition is just being realistic. But slowly, the water rises, their doubts become your doubts. Their excuses become your excuses. In the UK and USA, we call this the crab in a bucket mentality. When one crab tries to climb out and see the world, the others pull him back down so they don't have to feel inferior. If you are surrounded by people who have no plans for 2027, you will eventually find yourself stuck in 2025. However, a man who walks alone is not necessarily a man without a heart. He is a man with a standard. He understands the alchemy of influence. He knows that he is the average of the 5 people he spends the most time with. If those 5 people are complaining about the economy, criticizing others, and wasting their hours in the dark corners of distraction, he will become the 6th. To reach the level of the sovereign mind, you must be willing to walk through the fire of isolation. You must be willing to let go of the friends who only knew the old you. They liked you when you were weak because your weakness made them feel comfortable. The moment you start to grow, the moment you start to build your cathedral, they will call you different or arrogant. They aren't losing a friend, they are losing their mirror. There is a profound beauty in finding a true friend as sail. A true friend is not someone who just agrees with you. A true friend is someone who challenges your logic. They're a mirror that shows you your potential, not your flaws. In the Western world, we value iron sharpening iron. A true circle is a small circle. It is a room where the conversation is about ideas, not people. It is a room where your success is celebrated as if it were their own. But these circles are rare. They are not found in the noisy streets or the crowded clubs. They are found on the peaks of the mountains you are currently climbing. You cannot find Hollyville people while you are still hanging out in low-level places. The man with no friends is often just a man in transition. He is in the silent gap between the life he left and the life he is building. If you find yourself in this gap right now, do not panic. The silence is not your enemy. The silence is your training ground. It is in this isolation that you discover who you really are when no one is watching. It is here that you develop the internal strength to stand on your own 2 feet. If you cannot be happy alone, you will always be a slave to the presence of others. You will settle for bad friends just to avoid the quiet. But the quiet is where the genius lives. The quiet is where the architecture of the unseen is designed. Look at the history of the great. Many of the thinkers and builders who shaped the USA and UK were considered outcasts in their youth. They didn't fit in because they weren't meant to fit in. They were meant to lead. If you are currently walking alone, do not lower your standards to increase your company. Keep walking. Keep building. Keep sharpening your mind. The right people, the ones who speak your language and share your frequency, are also on that path. You will meet them eventually, but you must be strong enough to walk the middle of the road by yourself first. A man with no friends is a man who is finally free to listen to his own soul. He is a man who has stopped asking for directions from people who have never been where he is going. He is a man who has traded the applause of the crowd for the respect of his own reflection. Be that man. Be the selective soul. Build your empire in the silence, and let your success be the only noise you ever need to make. There is a period in every great man's life where the phone stops ringing. The invitations to the average parties dry up. The people who once called you brother now call you distant. This is not a tragedy. It is a filtration process. The universe is clearing the weeds from your garden so that the oaks can finally grow. In the United Kingdom and the United States, we are conditioned to fear this isolation. but the sovereign mind welcomes it. This is the price of admission to the elite level of human existence. You cannot carry the baggage of your past into the palace of your future. If you want to run with the lions, you have to stop hanging out with the sheep. The transition from a man with no friends to a man with the right circle is the most dangerous phase of your development. During this time, you will encounter the parasites of potential. These are people who see your growth and want to attach themselves to it. They don't want to help you build. They want to live in the house once it is finished. They speak the language of ambition, but they do not have the hands of a builder. They will tell you everything you want to hear, but the moment the storm hits, they will be the first to jump ship. A positive mind must be a discerning mind. You must learn to judge people not by their words, but by their internal architecture. Look at their habits. Look at how they treat people who can do nothing for them. Look at how they handle their own failures. If they blame the world for their problems, they will eventually blame you for theirs. The lion's circle is small, quiet, and incredibly heavy. It is a circle where the members are so busy building their own empires that they do not have time to gossip about yours. In this circle, there is no jealousy, only inspiration. When one man wins, the whole circle levels up because the standard has been raised. This is the culture of the elite in 2026. They understand that a win for the tribe is a win for the individual. If you haven't found this circle yet, do not lower your frequency to fit back into the old one. The reason you are alone is because you are currently outgrowing the environment that produced you. You are in a state of evolutionary tension. It is uncomfortable because it is supposed to be. You are being prepared for a higher level of conversation. Think about the difference between a mirror and a window. A bad friend is a mirror that only shows you what you want to see. They flatter your ego and hide your flaws. But a true brother is a window. He shows you the world as it is, and he shows you the gap between who you are and who you could be. He is the one who will tell you the truth when it hurts because he cares more about your growth than your comfort. In the West, we have plenty of yes men, but we have very few truth. When you find someone who's brave enough to hold you accountable, you have found a treasure more valuable than gold. The man who has walked through the fire of being alone develops a sovereign aura. He no longer needs people, which is exactly why the right people start to need him. When you are desperate for connection, you attract other desperate people. But when you are content in your own company, when you have built your own internal sanctuary, you become a magnet for quality. High-level connections are not made through networking events or business cards. They are made through the recognition of a shared frequency. You meet your equals on the path of purpose. So, do not be afraid of the no-friend phase. Use this time to become the kind of person that a high-level person would want to be friends with. Work on your body. Work on your mind. Work on your bank account. Work on your soul. Become a person of such immense value that your presence is a gift and your absence is a loss. The lions are out there, and they're watching. They're looking for the ones who didn't fold under the pressure of being alone. They're looking for the ones who didn't compromise their vision just to be liked. When you are ready, the circle will find you. But until then, stay in the dark room. Keep watering your bamboo. Keep building the unseen. The echo of your silence will eventually become the roar of your success. In the pursuit of greatness, you will eventually encounter the most misunderstood word in the human language: loyalty. In the streets of our cities, in the corners of our social circles, loyalty is often used as a weapon to keep you small. People will tell you that you changed, or that you forgot where you came from, simply because you decided to stop self-destructing with them. They want the loyalty of a prisoner, but you are a man seeking the loyalty of a king. True loyalty is not about staying at the bottom. It is about bringing the people you love to the top, but only if they are willing to climb. The social winter is the period where you realize that most of your relationships were built on shared weaknesses, not shared strengths. You were friends because you both hated the same boss, or because you both spent your weekends escaping reality. The moment you start to love your life and chase your mission, the foundation of those friendships disappears. This is the hardest part of the architecture of the unseen. It is the moment you have to decide if you are more loyal to your past or your future. If you stay loyal to people who are comfortable with mediocrity, you are being disloyal to the man you were meant to become. A man with no friends in this phase is actually a man with the highest form of integrity. He refuses to pretend. He refuses to act like he still enjoys conversations that no longer serve his soul. In the USA and the UK, we see an epidemic of lonely success. where people at the top realize they cannot trust the people they brought with them. This happens because they didn't have the courage to endure the social winter. They were so afraid of being alone that they packed their circle with anchors disguised as friends. You must be different. You must be willing to sit in the silence until you find people who speak the language of growth. The loyalty of the long game is about the few, not the many. Think about the bridge builders of history. When they were designing the great structures of London or San Francisco, they didn't ask 1,000 people for their opinion. They trusted a small group of experts who understood the mathematics of the weight. Your life is the most important structure you will ever build. Stop asking the unskilled to help you design your future. A bad friend will give you advice based on their own fears. A true friend will give you advice based on your potential. If you are walking alone right now, use this time to develop self-loyalty. Most people are loyal to everyone but themselves. They keep their promises to their boss, their friends, and their family. But they break every promise they make to their own reflection. They say they will work out, and they don't. They say they will start the business, and they don't. The sovereign mind begins with a circle of one. If you cannot be loyal to your own word, you will never attract a circle that is loyal to you. Character is the magnet. When you become a man of absolute integrity, the world begins to send you people who mirror that integrity. The man who survives the social winter emerges with a skin made of iron and a heart made of gold. He is no longer looking for friends to fill a void. He is looking for partners to build a world. He understands that a true circle is a sacred space. It is a space where the architecture of the unseen is finally brought into the light. Do not rush the process. Let the seasons change. Let the leaves fall. Let the fake connections wither away. Something much stronger is growing in the frost. Your solitary walk is not a sign of failure. It is the ultimate proof of your courage. There comes a moment in the life of every man who has dared to walk alone, when the silence stops being a burden and starts becoming a weapon. This is the moment of the return. In the United Kingdom and the United States, we are obsessed with a comeback story. But a true return is not about coming back to your old life. It's about appearing in a new one as a completely different version of yourself. You have spent months, perhaps years, in the social winter. You have endured the whispers of those who said you were arrogant, the laughter of those who said you were lost, and the pity of those who thought you were lonely. But while they were talking, you were transforming. You were building a mind that is now immune to the opinions of the crowd. You are forging a spirit that no longer seeks a seat at the table because you are now capable of building the entire house. The return of the lion is not marked by noise or a desire for revenge. It is marked by a quiet, immovable presence. When you finally re-enter the social world, you do so with an eternal standard. You no longer audition for the friendship of others. You are no longer the one trying to prove your value. Instead, you are the one who sets the tone. You are the one who defines the culture of the room. You have walked through the fire of isolation, and that fire has burned away the need for approval. This is the ultimate form of cognitive dominance. You are now a man who can be in a crowd without being part of the crowd. You can listen to the noise without losing your signal. You have become the architect of your own atmosphere. Think about the high-level circles you once dreamed of joining. When you finally reach those heights, you will realize something profound. The people at the top are all survivors of the same solitary walk. Every leader in London, every innovator in Silicon Valley, and every titan of industry has a story about the time they had to walk away from everything they knew to find out who they were. They recognize the look in your eyes. They recognize the scars on your soul. This is how the real circle is formed. It isn't formed through small talk or social climbing. It is formed through the mutual recognition of a shared struggle. You have earned your place among the lions, because you did unfold when you were a cub in the dark. But even as your circle forms, never forget the power of the walk. Never lose your ability to return to the silence. A man's strength is found in his ability to be perfectly content with nothing but his own thoughts. In 2026, the greatest tragedy is the man who is successful in the eyes of the world, but terrified of being alone with himself. Do not be that man. Let your internal sanctuary remain the most important room in your empire. Your friend should be the extra in your life, never the essential. Your mission is the only thing that is not negotiable. Everything else, the popularity, the connections, the applause, is just a byproduct of your commitment to the truth. As we conclude this architecture of the solitary path, look back one last time at the person you were when you started this journey. Thank that version of yourself for having the courage to be lonely. thank yourself for choosing the hard path when the easy one was so crowded. You have traded the comfort of the herd for the freedom of the mountain. You have traded the safety of the shore for the vastness of the ocean. And in doing so, you have found the only thing that truly matters. You have found yourself. The man with no friends has become the man that everyone wants to follow. But you won't be leading them to your destination. You will be leading them to their own courage. The walk is over, but the legacy has just begun. The architecture is no longer unseen. It is a monument to what a human being can achieve when they refuse to settle for less than their soul is worth. The roar you hear in the distance isn't the crowd. It is the echo of your own footsteps hitting the ground with the weight of a king. Stay focused. Stay selective. Stay sovereign. The world is finally ready for you. But more importantly, you are finally ready for the world. There is a level of mental clarity that can only be achieved when you stop trying to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. This is the stage of the lone watchman. In the busy streets of the United States and the bustling centers of the United Kingdom, everyone is talking, but very few are listening. Everyone is performing, but very few are producing. When you step away from the social circus, you stop being a performer and you start being an observer. You begin to see the patterns that others miss. You see the traps of consumerism, the chains of social comparison, and the hollow nature of busyness. This clarity is your greatest strategic advantage in 2026. While your competitors are distracted by the drama of their social circles, you are observing the mechanics of reality. The man who has mastered being alone is a man who can no longer be manipulated. Manipulation requires a hook, and the most common hook is the fear of being left out. When you no longer care about being left out, when you have built a world inside your own mind that is more interesting than any party or any gathering, you become immune to the social pressure that breaks most men. You are no longer a leaf blown by the wind of public opinion. You are the mountain that the wind must move around. This internal stability is the sovereign void. It is a space within you that is completely silent, completely still, and completely yours. It is from this void that the greatest ideas in human history have emerged. Consider the life of a master craftsman. He spends thousands of hours in a quiet workshop, away from the applause, away from the gossip, and away from the friends who would only distract him from his blade. Is he lonely? No. He is in a state of flow. He is in a relationship with his craft. This is what the modern world fails to understand. Solitude is not the absence of people. It is the presence of purpose. When your purpose is big enough, it fills the room. It becomes your companion. It becomes your teacher. If you feel lonely in your solitude, it is a sign that you haven't found a purpose that is worthy of your time. The no friend passes. Life is way of forcing you to look for that purpose. It is a divine intervention designed to stop you from wasting your potential on people who will never see it. Let us speak about the filter of time. Many people are afraid to lose friends because they think they are losing history. They think about the years spent together, the shared jokes, and the memories. But history is not a reason to stay in a house that is falling down. If the foundation of the friendship was built on a version of you that no longer exists, then the friendship itself is a ghost. You are dragging a corpse behind you and wondering why you are tired. The positive, sovereign mind knows when to perform the funeral. It knows when to say thank you for the past and walk into the future alone. You are not being cold. You are being honest. You are respecting your growth enough to not fake a connection that has died. In the UK and USA, we are seeing a massive shift in how the elite build their networks. They are moving away from socializing and moving toward mission alignment. They don't want friends to hang out with. They want allies to build with. They want people who have also survived a fire of isolation. When you eventually meet these people, you won't have to explain why you were gone for 2 years. You won't have to apologize for not answering the phone. They will understand because they were doing the same thing. They were in their own workshops, sharpening their own blades, and walking their own mountains. This is the brotherhood of the silent. This is the circle that actually changes the world. Do not rush to fill the empty seats at your table. Let them stay empty for as long as it takes. It is better to have an empty table than a table full of people who make you feel alone. The empty seats are a sign of your high standards. They are a sign that you are waiting for quality. And quality takes time to find. While you wait, keep building. Keep the architecture of the unseen growing. The more you build, the more visible you become to the right people. You don't find the elite by searching for them. You find them by becoming one of them. The light you create in your isolation will eventually become the beacon that brings the right tribe to your door. Have you ever felt that strange anxiety creep in when the room goes quiet? That sudden urge to fill the silence, to check your phone, to do anything to avoid being alone with your own thoughts. This isn't just a random feeling. It's a deep-seated fear of silence. A fear that often pushes us into the arms of what we think is our social circle, but is really just a crowd. We chase after this illusion of belonging, believing that the more people we're surrounded by, the less lonely we'll be. We join groups, attend events we don't care about, and maintain superficial connections, just to feel like we're part of something. But here's the thing. A crowd is not a tribe. A crowd is a collection of individuals united by circumstance, proximity, or a fleeting common interest. A tribe, on the other hand, is a deep, meaningful connection of souls united by shared values, mutual respect, and genuine support. A crowd drains your energy. A tribe replenishes it. Being in a crowd can make you feel more alone than ever, because you're performing a role instead of being your true self. So, how do we break free? The first step is to embrace the role of the lone watchman. Picture this: a watchman on a tower, high above the bustling city. They're not lonely, they're observant. They're not isolated. They have perspective. They can see the patterns, the movements, the bigger picture that's invisible to those caught in the noisy streets below. Being a lone watchman means intentionally stepping back from the constant noise of the crowd. It means taking time for solitude, not as a punishment, but as a practice. It's in this quiet space that you start to hear your own voice, distinguish your own thoughts from the opinions of others, and gain a profound clarity about what you truly want and who you truly are. It's scary at first, but it's where your real strength begins to grow. Once you find that clarity, you'll start to notice something powerful: the gravity of the average. This is the invisible force that pulls you back towards the norm, the comfortable, the mediocre. The crowd exerts this gravity. It's the subtle pressure to conform, to not stand out too much, to not pursue that wild dream because, well, that's not what people do. It's the friend who questions why you're waking up early to work on your project, or the family member who suggests you stick to the safe career path. Escaping this gravity requires conscious effort. It means setting your own standards, defining your own success, and having the courage to orbit a different star. Even if it means moving away from what's familiar. It's about choosing your own trajectory instead of being pulled into the predictable path of the masses. This leads us to the ultimate goal: achieving psychological sovereignty. Think of your mind as your own kingdom. Are you the rightful ruler, or are you letting outside opinions, social media trends, and the expectations of the crowd dictate your laws and policies? Psychological sovereignty means you are the master of your own mental and emotional state. You don't outsource your happiness or self-worth to others. You validate yourself. You trust your own judgment. Your decisions are rooted in your core values, not in a desperate need for external approval. This isn't about being arrogant or closing yourself off to feedback. It's about having a strong internal foundation, a core self that remains unshaken by the shifting winds of public opinion. It's the freedom to be authentically you, without apology. When you've cultivated this inner sovereignty, a beautiful transformation occurs in your relationships. You no longer seek a crowd to feel validated. Instead, you begin to attract and choose selective allies. These are the people who make up your true tribe. These relationships aren't based on convenience or superficiality. They're built on a foundation of mutual growth, respect, and authentic connection. Your selective allies are the ones who understand your vision, who celebrate your courage to escape the gravity of the average, and who aren't intimidated by your psychological sovereignty. They challenge you to be better, support you when you falter, and share your values. You no longer need hundreds of acquaintances. A handful of true allies is infinitely more powerful and fulfilling. This isn't about social climbing, it's about soul connection. So, let's bring it all together. It starts with facing the fear of silence and recognizing the illusion of the crowd. From there, you embrace the clarity of the lone watchman to see things as they truly are. With that perspective, you find the strength to escape the gravity of the average and stop letting the norm define your life. This journey empowers you to claim your psychological sovereignty, becoming the true ruler of your inner world. And finally, from that place of strength and authenticity, you evolve. You stop collecting contacts and start cultivating deep connections with selective allies who form your real tribe. This isn't a quick fix or an easy path. It's a conscious. It requires courage, introspection, and a willingness to be uncomfortable. But the reward is a life of purpose, depth, and genuine connection. It is the difference between being a face in the crowd and being the master of your own destiny, surrounded by those who truly see and support you. The journey from the crowd to the tribe is a journey back to yourself. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content on living a more intentional life. Until next time, there is a reason why the greatest leaders in the history of the United States and the United Kingdom often disappeared before they truly arrived. They understood the philosophy of the desert. The desert is not just a place. It is a mental state where you are stripped of everything that isn't the real you. In the desert of your social life, when the friends are gone and the noise has stopped, you are forced to confront the person you have been hiding from. Yourself. Most people spend their entire lives running away from this confrontation. They use the voices of their friends to drown out the voice of their conscience. But the sovereign mind knows that you cannot be a leader of others until you have first survived the isolation of the desert. In 2026, the social filter has become the most essential tool for survival. We are bombarded by friends who are actually just digital ghosts. People who want to consume your energy but never contribute to your growth. When you decide to be a man with no friends, you are not being antisocial. You are being hypersocial. You are installing a highly veil filter at the door of your life. You are deciding that unless someone can match your frequency, unless they can respect your boundaries, and unless they are also walking a path of purpose, they do not get access to your internal sanctuary. This is the architecture of the high standard. It is the realization that your energy is a finite resource, and every second you spend on a bad friend is a second you have stolen from your legacy. Think about the concept of the shadow support. When you are surrounded by people, you often lean on them for your emotional stability. You use their approval as your oxygen. But when you are alone, you have to build your own internal support system. You have to learn how to encourage yourself. You have to learn how to forgive yourself. You have to learn how to push yourself when no one is watching. This shadow support is what makes a man unbreakable. When the world eventually tries to knock you down, and it will, you won't fall, because your foundation isn't built on the opinions of others. It is built on the ironclad relationship you developed with yourself during your years of solitude. The man who is alone is often the only one who can see the truth. In the UK and USA, we see a culture of groupthink, where everyone agrees with each other because they are afraid of being cancelled or excluded. But the lone watchman doesn't care about being excluded because he is already excluded himself. This gives him the freedom of the outsider. He can say the things that no one else dares to say. He can see the risks that no one else is willing to acknowledge. He can innovate in ways that the crowd cannot because he isn't trying to fit his ideas into a pre-existing box. Loneliness is the price of original thought. If you want to think like the 1%, you have to be willing to be disliked by the 99%. As you navigate this long walk, remember that the no friend phase is a season, not a sentence. It is a season of pruning. Just as a gardener cuts back the branches of a tree so that it can produce more fruit in the next year, life is cutting back your social circles so that you can produce a more significant impact. Do not fight the pruning. Do not try to glue the old branches back on. Let them go. They serve their purpose for the person you used to be, but they cannot survive in the climate of the person you are becoming. The air is thinner where you are going. Not everyone has the lungs to breathe at your altitude. The alchemy of this isolation is that it prepares you for the ultimate connection. When you finally meet another sovereign mind, the connection is instantaneous and deep. There is no small talk. There is no vibe checking. There is only the recognition of a fellow You will find that these new allies are much more loyal, much more capable, and much more aligned with your soul than the friends you left behind. But to find them, you must first be willing to be found by yourself. Stay in the desert until the work is done. Stay in the silence until the voice of your purpose is the loudest thing you hear. The architecture is growing. The unseen is becoming a monument. Your solitude is your strength. We have reached the end of the solitary path. The final threshold where the man who walked alone becomes the man the world cannot ignore. The architecture of the unseen is no longer a blueprint. It is a monument in the United Kingdom, the United States, and across every horizon of the modern world. There is a deep, unspoken hunger for authenticity. People are tired of the masks. They are tired of the superficial circles. They are tired of the noise. When you emerge from your period of isolation, you are the answer to that hunger. You aren't just a person with a successful life. You are a person with a grounded soul. You are a living reminder that it is possible to survive the fire and come out looking like gold. The man who once had no friends has discovered the greatest friendship of all, the partnership between his current self and his future potential. This is the final integration. It is the moment you realize that the silence wasn't empty, it was full of answers. It is the moment you realize that being alone wasn't a punishment. It was a promotion. You have traded the cheap comfort of a crowd for the expensive clarity of a mission. You have moved from the finite game of social status to the infinite game of human legacy. Your standards are now your shield, and your purpose is now your compass. As the screen fades, and you return to your reality in 2026, do not be afraid if the seats at your table are still empty. An empty seat is a space for a king. Do not fill it with a court jester. Be patient with your progress. Be ruthless with your focus. And above all, be loyal to the man you saw in the dark room. The world will try to pull you back. It will try to convince you that you were just lonely and that you should lower your bar to fit back in. Do not listen. The lion does not turn around when the sheep bleat. You have found your frequency. You have claimed your sovereignty. The walk is over, but the work is eternal. Every morning you wake up is a new opportunity to refine the lens. Every day you choose to be selective is a new brick in the cathedral of your character. You are no longer looking for a tribe to join. You are the flame that the tribe will eventually seek. Stay in your power. Stay in your light, and never, ever apologize for the solitude that made you a king. The architecture is visible. The unseen is now seen. The man with no friends has become the man who leads the world. This is not the end of your story. It is the first page of your legend. Go out and live a life that is so loud, so positive, and so powerful that it echoes in the hearts of others for 1,000 years. The walk was worth it. You are finally home. Your time is coming. Keep believing. Keep fighting. Don't just watch. Go out and prove them wrong. Thank you for being part of the journey. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.